Hello, everybody. I'd really like to I'm very pleased to introduce Peta and Leslie Glasser from Western Australia. I'm pleased to say that they are happy to share fond memories of their time at Victoria League Student House way back when. And even more exciting, I'm pleased to say that they actually met at Student House. And I think that's wonderful, a love story. I think I'm a bit more excited about the fact that they met there and got married. So welcome, you two. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Jeannie, and thank you for arranging it.
Oh, my pleasure. Tell me when you both got to Student House and how you found out about Victoria League.
Leslie arrived before me in, was it 58 or so, and I arrived in November of 60 or 59.
59.
59, and I went there because my aunt in Western Australia was a member of the Victoria League, and she said to me, why don't you look this place up and see if you can stay there? And that's what I did. And that's how I got there. I don't know how Leslie did one.
I just graduated in chemical engineering in Cape Town, and a friend of mine who also graduated at that same time, his brother had stayed in London before at him and studying at Imperial College, and I think he was staying at Vic League, so he kind of pulled me along there. So I was a more or less standard customer by the time Peter arrived.
Yes, and we met in the dining room, which I mentioned in my email to you, was in the basement at that time, and there was a Japanese lady called Mary, who we thought was a very lovely person, and she seated me opposite Leslie at the table on my first morning there.
Because I told her to.
But I hadn't been there before, Leslie.
That's okay, I saw you coming down.
And we chatted. I mean, you know, when you're young and in a new environment, you make friends because it's what you have to do in order to be accepted, and so that's what we did, and there were lots of other people at the table too, and we all chatted and asked where we were from, and it was really, really a very nice environment to know so many young people doing the same thing that we were doing in the same environment, and so it worked really well.
Clearly there were sparks though across the table between you two.
I wonder if there were at that stage. Perhaps
I was teasing her on her accent, which
he had the biggest accent, the greater accent than mine.
That's lovely. And when did you actually get married? I mean, tell me about that.
The photograph I sent you, I think I mentioned, you can see the letters of the Victoria League heading on the column. So that was when we were leaving the Victoria League to get married, and that was on April the 23rd in 1961 or
1960.
Was it?
1960.
I don't really remember the date at all. I know we've been married 60 years, if
62.
that helps.
Congratulations, that's wonderful.
62 years.
62 years. Leslie, well done, Leslie, for remembering that.
Yes, it's quite a job.
But the actual wedding itself was in London. You did that just before you left London.
We went to the Paddington Registry Office and got married there, and then we had a reception where a lot of our friends, well, probably most of our friends from the Victoria League, as well as Miss Brown and Mrs. Davies. We found out that was the name of the other lady who was working at the desk down the stairs as you entered the Victoria League then. They came to our wedding as well. I've just pulled out a whole lot of photographs in my cupboard, which have been there for like 60 years. And I'm going to look through them and see if I can find the ones of our wedding, in which case I'll send them to you.
Oh, yes, please. So you shared a memory in the email you sent, which made me laugh about at the time, men and women had to live separately at
Right.
student house. Yeah,
Is that not the case now?
no, it's not the case. You said there was somebody who made sure or tried to make sure that door was locked in between all the.
That was Miss Brown. I mean, that was the trend in those days, that women and men were not regarded as equals, and you had to keep them apart. And
it didn't work.
No, it didn't work. I mean, they didn't really mind that it didn't work either, but they may have been asked by their superiors to do it for some reason or other. But the men, as you came in the main door, the men were lodged on the left 3 stories, and the women were lodged on the right 3 stories. Is it 3 stories still?
Yeah. The building hasn't changed itself in just a little bit inside of the layout. I mean, you also mentioned about you were surprised about people can cook in their rooms or near their rooms now, whereas
Right.
yeah, it was different back then.
Very convenient and very nice. And are they do the men live next door to the women?
Yeah, the rooms are, well, yeah, there's not the separation that there was before at all. But they very much, you mentioned the park, the garden in the back, which is very much obviously a welcomed, it's still very much there and is a welcome opportunity for the.
Yeah, we love that park too. My room overlooked that park. I've got a photograph. I found a photograph of that park at that time.
Oh.
And the street going down the side.
And what are your memories of the general area? You had a few. You remember you mentioned Bayswater. You used to like to walk around the shops down there.
And Queensway.
And
Yes.
Queensway.
Yes. No, we did. We commuted with the tube stop at Queensway and at Bayswater, going into London, and
it's a very convenient. It's still such a convenient location. You couldn't get much more central than.
Only one train stop, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You also mentioned that you got an opportunity. You met Princess Margaret. Did she actually come to Student House?
She did, yes. She had got engaged around about the same to Tony Armstrong Jones around about the same time that we'd got engaged, and Miss Brown suggested I speak to her about that, and so I did.
Oh, that's a wonderful memory.
It is indeed. And Leslie's brother and his wife also came to live at the Students' Club a little bit later. And when they were there, the Queen Mother came, and Sylvia was asked to present the Queen Mother with a bouquet, and we have a photograph of that if you'd like us to.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. And anything you're happy to share if it's not too much work to scan and send, we'd love to see.
Okay, I'll certainly send that on.
Did you get an opportunity to go to any royal events where you actually met Her Majesty the Queen?
No.
Well, you went to one of the tea parties, didn't you? I don't know if you.
No, I think one of the girls at the Vic League had an invitation to a garden party. So we had an old car which we took her to Buckingham Palace in, but I didn't go in.
Ah, you didn't go in.
The invitation.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's still, I mean, some wonderful memories. Obviously a very special year with the Platinum Jubilee. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's lovely to have all the royal memories we can share together. That would be fantastic. It was lovely that you got in touch and shared your memories on email, so we got a chance to meet you. All this is wonderful for us.
Now, I was wondering if the Victoria League still existed as a students' club, because I mean, we have been back to London a couple of times, and one time we went and saw that it was still there, but since we last went, I don't think we know anyone who's been there or haven't been in touch with anyone, so we'd lost touch. And then I looked it up on my computer and saw that you are still there, and that's why I wanted to write and say what a good time and what a wonderful memory it is for both of us.
Oh,
the time that we were.
And we're so glad that you did.
Know all those multiracial people, international people, you know. It was such a pleasure to have so many friends. One couple we remember very well were Inderjeet and Nandini Bahari. I think they were from
Twins.
twins from Guyana, was it? Or
No,
West Indies?
West Indies.
West Indies, from the West Indies. And their name was announced over the loudspeaker more than anybody else's because they got a lot more phone calls.
You remember that?
The days before we all had our individual telephones like we do now. So
yeah.
that wouldn't be a system used today either, would it?
No. I mean, the people still get calls and things there, but everybody has a mobile these days, so people keep in touch. And of course, there's Wi-Fi, so it's easy for them to be able to do things in their room, stay on their computers and things. But it's still so multicultural. It's still a wonderful place.
Fantastic. And is it always full?
It's actually almost full now. Obviously, during the pandemic, there was, we had to be careful about the amount because of social distancing and obviously a lot of people didn't come or returned home. But now it's returning. It's returned to almost full capacity. I'd like to thank you both so much for sharing your memories. This is a wonderful thing, and I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's a pleasure for us,
Our
Jeannie.
pleasure.
And thank you, and lovely to meet you, and our very best wishes to all the people in the Victoria Line.
And very much back to you too. Thank you.